So, when a developer says their game has left early access, doesn't that imply the game is finished? Instead of taking their word for it, we take the initiative to see if they can back up what they say. Pixel Piracy was developed by Quadro Delta and published by Relogic. It's an open-world roguelike where you command a ship full of pirates, and you do piratey things in search of treasure and adventure. The game entered Steam's early access a year ago, now it's a full release in record time. Let's take a look. The goal of the game is to defeat the 4 legendary pirates. Each of them has a piece of a map to the infamous Pirate Bay. To do that, you need a ship and a crew. You can build your ship any way you want as long as you have the materials to build it. You can have multiple decks, cannons, sails, decorations, and other stuff if you can afford it. You can hire crew members at the tavern, equip them with an assortment of weapons, and have them learn a variety of skills like cooking, cleaning, repairing, operating cannons, and of course, combat skills. Use them to board an enemy ship, kill everyone there, and take everything of value. You also have the choice of capturing the ship and taking it as your own, or plunder it for some gold and its building materials. Exploring islands will give you an opportunity to raid some crates and treasure chests, and there's a special item you can interact with to grant you a bonus. For example, a campfire will restore all morale to your crew. It's actually a very simple game, but there's tons of problems with it, many of which were supposed to be addressed in early access. When you're boarding a ship after the cannon phase, you might not be able to enter or leave the enemy ship. This is probably because the cannons destroyed the entry point, so my boarding party cannot move between ships, but my captain can. Outside of combat, crew members are starving to death with cooked food in front of them. For some reason, the ones who are well fed have first dibs on food, while the ones who are starving to death are losing health rapidly, and they're just standing there like idiots. Some of these decisions I have to call into question. When your crew is at a tavern, they only eat when their hunger is below 40%. One of the developers said this 40% was intended to make the game more challenging, and that filling them up to 100% would make the game too easy. But the way I'm seeing it in the game, they're too stupid to fill themselves up at the tavern, and then they come back to the ship to consume my food stocks. And some food items, like the crab meat, don't actually deal with hunger. They restore health, but they don't fill you up. I also hate that you have to constantly place food on your ship to feed everyone. It's a very tedious process. Why can't we have a galley to store and cook the food there? This is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many problems with this game, and it's pissing me off. This is the kind of game I would enjoy, and I'm not. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with it as far as I can tell. The problems with the game can be fixed. In the meantime, it's detracting from the fun. So, in regards to its current state, how will this do in the video game market? The first few weeks will be a mess. On many forums and on the Steam reviews, the game is being written off as an unfinished game. The first few hours into the game is really fun and addicting, and I have a feeling that many of the reviews out there are based on that. It's the period after that when you have multiple cannons and a large crew that the game really begins to show its true self. It's a buggy mess, and they're being called out on it. It's one of the quickest games to enter and exit early access. This is something that catches people's attention, and it did. For some things, I like to be as quick as possible. In other things, I like to take my time, if you know what I mean. And if you don't know, I'm talking about developing software. You take your time, test it out, gather feedback, and fix the problems. It seems like they're doing this now, but again, why is this out of early access? They should be doing this in early access. That way they can claim it's an unfinished game, and a lot of these problems can be forgivable. After a few months, the game will be dead. The hype and the community will be long gone, and the game will be remembered as an unfinished game that left early access too early for its own good. At the very least, I have faith that the game will be in a state that can be considered complete. This will be what version 1.0 should have been, but how many people will stick around to play it? There's not a whole lot to say here. A quick search on mods or mod support for the game seems to indicate there will be no official support for it, and there's no indication on any sort of DLC or content patches. Pixel Piracy should never have left early access at this point in time. There's just so many problems that detract from the fun. What's the point of early access if you don't address these issues before you release it? It has a lot of really good ideas, but you would think they would make sure that these very common things in the game are working flawlessly. This was supposed to be a masterpiece, but they were too eager to get it out of early access and get people hyped for a complete game that they forgot to include a functional game. I really can't be bothered to continue the game in this state, let alone enjoy it. At least the price is right, $15, but you probably got it half off if you bought it a couple days ago. For the time being, I think you should hold off. The developers seem very keen on fixing these issues, but I've been tricked before. When we do the follow-up in a few months, we'll see if they're legit or if it's just another charade. Thanks for watching.